Hello and welcome to the No Easy Way Out podcast. My name is Tony Nash and I am coming to you as always from the Armory in beautiful downtown Owasso, Michigan, home to my company, AZ Business Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. Now today I want to talk to you a little bit about my recent vacation. If you follow me at all on social media, you know that I recently took a trip to Florida to drop my oldest daughter off at college. She is studying elementary education at Pensacola Christian College, and we are very proud of her and the progress that she has made in her life and how she's doing. And actually, we spoke to her last night. She's on her second week of classes and doing a great job. And so we're proud of her, but we decided on our way down to Pensacola, Florida, that we would take the family on a road trip and visit a lot of cool spots along the way. And so we got the kids together and asked, what are some places you'd like to see? It's kind of tradition in our family. We try to once a year to do a cool road trip and show the kids things around the country. And so my daughter had requested that we go to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. And then some of my kids wanted to see some museums along the way and stop at a couple different restaurants that they had seen on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and Restaurant Impossible and these types of things. So we took off on a Sunday, and we journeyed out on a 10-day road trip / vacation / drop your daughter off at college trip. And we stopped the first day in Sandusky, Ohio at Cedar Point, which is a huge roller coaster park. And so we rode roller coasters and tested my equilibrium, which is not what it used to be, and just had a great day with the kids. And then the next day we went to the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio, and that was recommended to us by a couple of people. And let me just say that was fantastic. It was amazing. It's 4 huge airplane silos, each silo, or not silo, but hangars. Each one is about the size of probably 5 or 6 football fields. And they had a ton of airplanes in there, all the way from Kitty Hawk to present day. They had 3 different Air Force Ones in there. They had Kennedy's Air Force One. They had FDRs and they had Eisenhowers. We got to go up inside of them and walk around and kind of see how the president traveled, and even the technology available to them in those times was pretty cool, especially for an airplane. They had a life-size space shuttle, which my kids had just had a big summer vacation Bible school space camp the week before, so it was cool for them to go inside a spaceship and a space shuttle and check it out and see it. They had a stealth bomber. They had some really cool life-size missiles and a big missile silo that were like over 100 feet tall. So just to see the size and the scope of everything was fantastic, and it's free. So I would highly recommend, if you're traveling through Dayton, Ohio, it's a great time. Our family is not usually huge museum people, but we had a really good time there. And then the next day we went to the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. My boys are really big Corvette fans, and so we get to go and kind of see the history of the Corvette, got to see some of the really rare Corvettes there. And then we went and spent a day in Nashville, and we went Nashville, Tennessee. We saw some of the sights there, went to some really cool restaurants, and we went to Hattie B's Hot Chicken, which is really well known in the area. And then we spent some time at Antique Archaeology, which is the store from the TV show American Pickers. And that was kind of neat to see some of the things that we had seen get picked on the TV show. And then we spent the night there. Each of the hotels we went to had a pool, and so the kids got to do a lot of swimming. And then the next day we went down to Pensacola, Florida. And of course down there we got to go to the beach where the ocean is, got to show the kids the ocean. Got to try some different restaurants and different things down there, because I also went to college there about 20 years ago just for a short time. And so I was a little bit familiar with the area. And we just had a great time. And had a wonderful time with the kids. We got to do some rock climbing there. We got to do some wave pools. We got to do all kinds of fun things. And of course, one of the things we always do when we go on these trips is we post a lot of our pictures to my Facebook page, because it's a free storage area for pictures. I know for me, you can lose your phone, break your phone, you can put it up in the cloud, and then you never find it. But Facebook is kind of a free place to store. So if you go look at my Facebook timeline, you're going to see basically in chronological order a timeline of my time as a dad and as a husband. And so we kind of like that, just for being able to go back and see some of the things that we've done. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the comments that I got via text or via social media while on this vacation. Now, this is a vacation that we had planned for over a year. We had spent a lot of time saving up for. We had done a lot of things to make this vacation possible. It wasn't by any means an inexpensive vacation, but it certainly wasn't the most expensive vacation we went on because we planned ahead. But I want to read to you some of the comments that I got because it made me think a lot. On the way home, I had a lot of time to really think and contemplate. And of course, none of these comments that I'm about to read were meant in a malicious way. They were not meant in a mean way. They just were comments that people sent to me that kind of got me thinking, like, why are people thinking this way about my vacation? And I got to thinking about how a lot of people look at other people's vacations or different things and view them in a certain way. The first one I got, and I'm not going to tell who these were by, but the first one was, "Vacay looks fun, so jealous," with like 10 O's. And so this was someone just commented on a picture that we had done and just said that they were insanely jealous of the trip that we were on. And I thought to myself, why are they jealous? Now, I understand the reason behind that. We were at the beach, we were at the ocean, we were at the museum and different things, but why did my vacation incite a jealousy inside somebody else? And I'm certain that they were happy for me, but the way that they worded it kind of just took me back a little bit. The next one, somebody wrote simply, "Must be nice." And I wasn't quite sure what to think about that. I mean, it was nice. We were having a good time. But that can mean a lot of different things. "Must be nice" might mean that, well, it must be nice to have that kind of money, or it must be nice to be able to get away from work, or it must be nice to be able to go to that place. And again, I don't think anybody meant anything wrong by that, but the way that they perceived that vacation was through the lens of a little bit of, must be nice, I wish I could do that, a little bit of jealousy there. Next one, somebody wrote, "Business must be good, bro. Happy for you guys." And here's somebody that, maybe in one way or another is trying to leave a compliment. Business must be good. And my business is doing okay, but we're certainly not getting wealthy here. We're only a 4-year-old business, and we're growing every day, but certainly not, living in the lap of luxury by any means. And if you don't believe me, just drive by my house. We live a very just kind of humble lifestyle, and we're okay with that. That's how we like to live. And then the last one was one that really hit me. Somebody literally texted me. They didn't write this on social media, but they said, "Checking out all these pictures of your vacay is making me depressed." And I thought to myself, why in the world would my vacation be making somebody else depressed? Now, I wasn't trying to be flashy on social media. 99% of the pictures are of my kids enjoying these different places we went to. And of course, we're tagging the locations and different things. And obviously, my background in social media helps me kind of understand how to use it. And so we're just kind of trying to catalog our trip, and so that we have something to look back on to remember it by. But here this person says that your vacation is making me jealous, is making me depressed, excuse me. And so in the tone, underlying tone of every one of these texts, you hear jealousy, you hear depression, you hear envy, and maybe that's not even what they meant by it. And if I'm reading one of your comments, don't think that it was offensive to me or that it bothered me in any way, but it just made me think. You hear this term all the time right now. It's become a very popular term, and we've talked about it a lot here on the podcast, this term called FOMO, fear of missing out. Now, I kind of researched what this word was. This word was actually started, believe it or not, by the Kardashians. It was a word they used to use for going on social media and seeing what everybody else was doing, and they would get this fear that they were missing out on something. And it doesn't appear to me that they miss out on a whole lot. But then it kind of became a hashtag on Instagram, and now it's something that people use quite often. And recently, they're saying that doctors are actually making it a clinical diagnosis because they're finding that this FOMO is causing to have anxiety, depression, loneliness, jealousy, because on social media, they look at what everybody else is doing, and they feel like their life is not as good. And so they look at somebody's brand new car, and they think, man, I don't have a very nice car. They must be doing better than me. And what they probably don't realize is that person has probably worked very hard in their life to get to the point where they could afford that car. They've worked very hard to get to the point where they had a good enough credit score to borrow the money to get a car like that. And that's just one day in their entire year. they look at another person and see about a restaurant that they got to go to, and they're just jealous because they maybe think they can't afford to go eat at a place like that, or they see somebody's new clothes that they bought, or in my case, they see a vacation and they think, man, it must be nice. Man, I'm so jealous. Business must be good, making me depressed. And what I want to say to you is, number one, as I mentioned, we took over a year to plan for this vacation. And my wife was saving pop. That's what we call it here in the Midwest. If you're from anywhere else, you probably call it soda. We were saving soda pop bottles. My wife was taking back soda pop bottles all the time. She was saving change. She was working extra hours at this cleaning job that she has. I was trying to do extra thing to get new business in. On top of that, we had all of our kids go get little summer side jobs, mowing lawns and babysitting and doing all things to save up their own money, because we told them, if you want extra spending money on these trips, you're going to buy some. So a lot of these things were paid for by my children. They all came with anywhere from $50 to $150 of their own spending money. And then even some of the things we went to, we said, you're going to pay for your ticket, because I believe it's good to make kids work for something. And then I have a couple of clients with Choice Hotels, so we were able to get heavy discounts on hotels, or I think the most we paid for any hotel in one night was $35 a night. So I mean, that's heavily discounted, and we probably saved about $2,000 alone on hotels. Not to mention, we looked at Groupons and discounts of how to get this trip done. And then we went to some of these attractions where we're going to have the kids try like this Nashville hot chicken, or try these ice cream rolls, or try this cool little treat. We would maybe get one or two and let everybody just have a bite. We wouldn't buy one for the whole family. And so we went and had a great time, but we were very frugal with our money. And so as somebody looks at that and observes these pictures, and they try to calculate in their mind how much that could have cost, or how much money someone must be making in order to be able to afford to go on a trip like that, or how much that they're doing that they're not getting to do themselves, I think what happens is they lack the part of thinking about what that trip might have cost to get to. You see, I didn't post on social media pictures of my kids saving up their own money. I didn't post pictures of my wife taking back pop bottles. I didn't post pictures of me booking hotels at a heavily discounted rate. I posted pictures of the actual trip. And I think that's what happens is you get on social media and you look and you see 1 minute or 1 day of somebody's entire year. And they might have had 364 bad days, but they had one great day, and that's the one they posted on social media. They might have had 51 bad weeks, but they posted that 1 week that was their vacation or their trip or their new car or their new outfit or whatever the case might be, their new relationship. And what you have to understand is that everybody in the world is going through their own struggles. And 99% of what you see on social media, it's what I call the highlight reel. It's the best parts of people's lives. And I think maybe some people post things to make other people jealous, but some people are literally just cataloging their memories and finding ways to share their memories with their loved ones. The other thing is we have family members in different states, in New York and North Carolina and in Texas and in California. And so a lot of times we share pictures so that those family members can see the kids growing up and enjoying those things. And so I want to encourage you today that if you have a hard time going on social media and seeing all the things that everybody else is doing without it causing some sort of sadness in you or depression or anxiety or FOMO, if that's something you struggle with, I might encourage you to get off social media altogether. If it's something that really affects your person, it really affects your mood, it really affects your perspective and outlook on life, it might be good just to say, I don't need this. But the other thing is, you have to realize that you're looking at 50 different people, 100 different people, and you're seeing 50 to 100 different people's best day, best moment, best week. And you add all that up and it maybe seems like the whole world is passing you by. Everybody else is doing better than me. Everybody else is making more money. Everybody else is going on better vacations. Everybody else is wearing better clothes. And it's probably not true. And so try to take a step back when you see those things and just recognize that I didn't see all the work that went into this. I didn't see when it went in behind it. But also recognize that this is just one day in their life. I've had good days. I've had bad days. You've had good days and you've had bad days. You've been on a vacation. You've had a great meal. You've bought a new outfit. You had a car that you appreciated. You've done things that were a great moment in your day or your month or in your year. But every day is not like that. Now, I think the key to all of this is to number one, don't compare your life to everybody else. Don't look at everybody else and compare what they have to what you think you should have. Number two, understand that nothing good and of value doesn't come without somebody working for it, somebody putting in time to get there. But most importantly, be content with what you have. And if you want something more, get out there and work for it. We truly do live in the greatest country on earth. I know a lot of people are down on America and they say we're this and we're that. But no other place in the world can you literally decide, you know what, I want to make more money, so I'm going to go out and find a job or make a career or do something online or go out and become an entrepreneur and find a way to make more money. Those opportunities just don't exist in a lot of other countries. And so if there's something that you feel like you don't have that you want, go get it. Now my life verse, those who know me well know that I'm a man of faith. I'm a Christian man. And I have a favorite verse in the Bible. And that verse is Philippians 4:11. This is the Apostle Paul who wrote a big majority of the New Testament. And Paul here found himself in a Roman prison because he was just doing the right thing. He was telling people about Jesus. And of course, in those times, it wasn't a really popular thing. And because of that, they threw him in prison for just doing what he believed was right and what he was passionate about and what he believed was his God-given purpose. And he writes this book of Philippians. And in that book, the whole book, he's talking about them. He's writing it to this church at Philippi, which was a city. And in that book, he uses the words ye, you, or yours 65 times. The whole time he's talking about them. He's not talking about himself. At no point does he say, pray for me. I'm going through a hard time. This prison is bad. I feel sick. I'm cold. They're not feeding me. He doesn't even talk about himself. He literally spends the entire time trying to encourage them and talk about them. And then he gets to chapter 4, which again is my favorite verse. In verse 11, he says, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. So Paul goes on and he's saying that they had sent him some gifts. This church of Philippi had sent him some gifts, and he was thanking them for it. But he says, I'm not speaking to you because I want something, because I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. And that tells me that contentment has to be learned. It's not a natural emotion. I have children, as I've mentioned many times. You watch a smallest child, they want what they can't have. You put a kid in a room with surrounded with a ton of toys, and then you bring another kid in that room and give that kid one toy. The kid that has all the toys surrounded is probably going to leave and go try to get that one toy that he doesn't have or she doesn't have. It's a natural thing. We're born with this discontentment. And I think that's something that's plaguing our society, is this discontentment, this lack of satisfaction, this lack of happiness with your life and how it's turned out. Now, to me, I feel that I'm fulfilling my God-given purpose in life. I'm doing what God called me to do, and so therefore I am finding great contentment in what I do every day. And I have good days and I have really bad days. I have days where I get great news and I have days where I get bad news. I have days where I can pay all the bills and I have days where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay these bills. But that's just life. There's ups and downs. There's ebbs and flows. Everybody that you know that has a lot of money, they're not the happiest people you know, because money doesn't bring you happiness. Everyone that you know that has a lot of possessions, they're not the happiest people you know. And if they are, it's not because of those possessions. Money, power, fame, possessions, none of these things equate to happiness. Where happiness comes from is through fulfilling your God-given purpose, doing that thing that you have a passion for, doing that thing that you know you were meant to do. And you say, well, I don't think that I can turn mine into a job. And I would say you probably can. And we live in the time where in the 21st century, we have the internet, and you can turn just about anything into a career or to a job if you do enough research. If you were like the world's biggest Scooby-Doo fan, You could turn being the world's biggest Scooby-Doo fan into a job. Make YouTube videos. Make Scooby-Doo merch. I don't know what you would do, but you can find ways to make money if it's something that you're truly passionate about. But stop looking around and looking at everybody else and feeling like you're missing the boat. Feeling like your life's not as good. Feeling like you're not accomplishing what people around you are accomplishing. Get up today, dust your feet off, and determine, this is what I'm going to do. If you're a person of faith, I'd say pray about it. What is your purpose? What were you put on this earth to do? What is the one thing that you are happy every time you do it? And I'm not one of these people that just say, do what makes you happy. Because there's a lot of things that make us happy that probably aren't the right thing to do. But I would say, discover your purpose. Figure out what you were put on this earth to do. And then go do it. And then realize that getting things takes time. Getting possessions and money, it takes time. There's no overnight way to those things. It's very rare. There's no easy way out, as we say here. And so determine to set your goals, determine what they are, and then go after them. And don't compare it to anyone else. If I look at my company today and compare it to other companies that started the same time as me, I would say, man, I'm probably not doing that great. I could compare it to other companies and say, wow, I'm doing really well. I know friends of mine that started businesses around the same time as me, and they're doing better than me financially. But I wouldn't want to do what they're doing. I know there are other businesses that could make more money than my business makes, but they're not things that I want to do. And so I've determined my path to being happy and to fulfilling my purpose is doing something that I enjoy and that I love, and the money is a byproduct of it. There's another verse in the Bible, right in that same chapter, in chapter 4, where Paul says, I've learned both how to be abased and I've learned how to abound. He says, I know how to have nothing and I know how to have a lot. Paul, before he became a Christian, was like a celebrity in those days. Everybody knew who he was. He was a very wealthy man. And he gave up his business and just kind of did it on the side once he became a Christian. And he turned his life into preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. But he says, I know how to be abased. I know how to have nothing. But I know how to abound. I know how to have a lot. But he says, my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches and glory. Paul realized that his needs were going to always be met. When you bake it down to what are really your needs, food and shelter, clothing. I mean, that's your needs. And the Bible promises that God will provide those things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having more than your needs. You just got to go after them. You just got to work for them. So I want to encourage anyone listening today that, number one, if getting on social media and looking at other people's accomplishments and other people's vacations and other people's possessions and other people's big days, if that causes you anything but happiness for them, then I would say delete your social media accounts and get rid of them. You don't need it. Who said you have to have social media? If you can get on there and see those things and maybe that inspires you to want to work harder, or maybe you see something you appreciate and say, man, I would love to go to that place, or I would love to visit that, or I'd love to have a car like that, that's okay. But if it's causing you to be jealous, if it's causing you to be depressed, if it's causing you to feel like you're missing out, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You do you. You do the things that you were meant to do, regardless of how much money it brings you, regardless of if it gives you the same car, the same house that the next guy or the next girl has. That doesn't matter. What were you put on this earth to do? What were you created to do? What is that thing that you can't live without? And go get it. Thank you for listening today. As my mother always said, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and try something great, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, if you like what you saw today, please like and subscribe for more content.